session. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, we can start the session here. Sorry for the grievances. Good afternoon, everyone. Let us begin this workshop with a silent prayer. Thank you. I'd like to convey a short quote from the former CEO of Intel, Andy Grove, which is only the paranoid survive. This virtual workshop webinar on deep learning architecture is organized by the Department of Computer Science PG in association with ACMW. Small share and great welcome makes a merry feast, says William Shakespeare. So, on behalf of the management, staff, and students, I extend a hearty welcome to our guest of the day, Mr. Sabyasachi Mukhopadhyay, Google developer expert in machine learning, Kolkata. We welcome you, sir. A gracious welcome to Father Lijo P. Thomas, Financial Administrator, Christy Jayanti College, who has been instrumental in propelling the college in the right direction. We welcome you, Father. A gracious welcome and a special note of welcome to the vibrant techno-savvy visionary leaders, Dr. Kumar R., Head Department Computer Science PG, and Professor Sevika Pandian, Head Department Computer Science UG. We welcome you, teachers. I cordially welcome all the faculty members of our department and their Jayantis. Welcome all. Before we move ahead, I request Father Lijo P. Thomas to address the gathering. Over to you, Father.
Thank you. Respected the chief guest for the day, Sri Subhashai Mukhopadhyaya and Dr. Kumar, the head of the Department of Computer Science PG, Professor Sevika Pandian, the coordinator, the head of the Department of Computer Science UG, Dr. Renjita, the faculty coordinator for this program and for the ACM Women's Chapter, respected faculty members, and my dear Jayantians. It's my privilege to be part of this webinar on deep learning architecture on account of the National Online Learning Day. Christianity College always strive to give the best to the students, not only in providing the information that is already available, rather than always trying to give something extra to all the Jayantians in order to make them ready for the industry once they complete their graduation course. Always, and the Jayantians are always ready to accept all the such kind of programs, and the teachers and the students are very enthusiastic in organizing such kind of programs. I should especially appreciate the ACM Women Chapter of the Christy Jayanti College. And as for the information that I have received, today's program is completely organized by the Women Chapter, the ACM Women Chapter students itself. So ACM Women Chapter at Christy Jayanti College is a vibrant community managed and nurtured by the girl students of the Department of Computer Science. its inception from 2017. It supports it and it supports, celebrate, and advocate internationally for the full engagement of women in all the aspects of the computing field, providing a wide range of programs and services to the tech-savvy community and working in a larger community to advance the contributions of technical women. ACM Women's Chapter encourages them to participate in computer-related studies and research. So Women Chapter members, the students itself, they are gathering the information, they are arranging the program at the same time, they themselves teach the students on certain topics like certificate courses, and they used to organize every year. So I take this opportunity consider this as a platform to appreciate the ACM Women Chapter students. All those almost 80 students are there as the chapter members and headed by the chair, Ms. Shirley, and the vice chair, Ms. Anusri. So we appreciate your thoughtfulness and readiness to do something for the society, at the same time gather maximum information. And they are led by Dr. Renjida, the staff coordinator. Her continuous effort is always there in order to make this ACM Women Chapter students active and vibrant always. So appreciate the contribution of Renjida ma'am too. And I would like to thank even Kumar sir and Patin sir, the department heads of the PG and UG respectively, for their wonderful leadership and support that they are extending. So with their support only, we are able to organizing such a program today. And with adding along with all these, today we have got a very wonderful person to address our students in the person of Sabyachai Mukhopadhyay. He's a faculty, he's a TEDx speaker, and from a data scientist, the Intel software innovator and Google developer and expert in machine learning. Okay, profile goes endlessly, and we have got a very vibrant and energetic person today. So thank you, dear sir, for accepting our invitation and to be part of this program. We have highly appreciate and value your contribution to the society, and especially for being the part of this program today in order to enlighten our young Jayantians. Hope and pray that even our Jayantians, after attending your session, will be following your footsteps in the coming days. So today is a special day, as we are all aware. We are in the new normal during the pandemic. The pandemic has opened the new areas of opportunities with online and ICT enabled teaching learning. So National Online Learning Day we are celebrating on September 15 is to commemorate the students of all ages who tries to gain knowledge from everywhere, anytime. So this day cultivates awareness among the community to celebrate the future of online education, wherever technology and our imaginations take us. So today morning, I was interacting with one professor from IISc. So he was mentioning, actually, we all tell that even the pandemic has hit us very badly, but there are few good aspects are also there. It proved that when it made many impossible things possible. So online learning is one among that one. The students can learn or can get the expertise of any experts from any part of the world through the online platform. So we all are very familiar with such kind of platforms nowadays. So our knowledge area, we can develop a lot. If we are utilizing the opportunities and the potentials that is available now. So in that context only, we have a very wonderful resource person today, and we have a very energetic ACM Women Chapter here to arrange such kind of program. So I'm not taking much time. Once again, I would like to appreciate all the students and all the faculty members, those who are part of this program, and a special note of thanks to our chief guest or the resource person for today, Sri Sabyachai Mukhopadhyay. So hope and pray that we will be able to meet you in our campus in the coming days once everything is normal. So thank you very much, sir, for joining with us. So wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father. Before we invite our guest speaker on stage, let me briefly introduce him, as Sir has many achievements following his great work in the field of tech. Sabyasachi Mukhopadhyay is a professor of business analytics of PG Management Studies in BIMS Kolkata. Apart from being Kolkata lead of Facebook Developer Circle, he is the Google Developer Expert in Machine Learning and Intel Software Innovator. Sir Mukhopadhyay was a project scientist at Nanoscape Technologies for a brief period. Sir received MS in Physical Sciences for IISER Kolkata and was a topper of the 2015 batch. He was a co-founder and chief research officer of Twilight MedTech Private Limited and currently involved in startup mentoring activities. He has more than 55 publications, which include patents, books, journals, and proceedings. His findings on AI-based retinal disease detection and AI-based early-stage cancer detection have been highlighted in all leading newspapers. So received international awards and also invited as a judge of NASA Space Apps Challenge 2018, Hulse Prize at Netaji Subhash Engineering College, and has delivered TED Talks twice. It is an honor to have you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me here, and thank you for that wonderful introduction to me. And today we are going to discuss about the deep learning architectures, which is one of the most state-of-the-art important topic. So basically, I would request all of you to please open your Google Colab. Just search in Google, just writing Google Colab, okay, and open it. So let me share the screen and show you that those who are new to Google Colab, how to use it. I believe it will be useful for you. So I think the screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So just a second. Now you just type in Google Colab. Once it appears, click on that top button. Okay, so here you will see one pop-up is coming up, new notebook. Go to there, click on it. So you see, once it opens up, you can see in the top menu bar, you see it is written untitled one IPYNB. So basically here you can edit the name. You can give, like, for example, deep learning practice, DL practice. In short, you can write it here. Okay. And .ipynb node is a notebook extension, interactive Python notebook extension. So this is all about the notebook setup. Here you can see there are two options. Pop-ups are there: plus text, plus code. In plus text, if you can click on that button, and you can, if you want to write some text there, you can do it. And plus code, where you can write the code there. Okay. Now what I will do, I will go back to my notebook, which I have prepared for you. Just a second. So is that visible? Can you see the notebook?
No, sir.
Okay, just a second. Let me share it. I think somehow. Can you see the notebook now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So basically here you will find all the relevant theory, whatever is written there for the modern deep learning architectures like AlexNet. So you will explore one of the examples here. Okay, and I will post the code in your chat box so that you can smoothly incorporate those things and it produce the result in your notebook. Okay. So before going to deep learning detail, now I just want to briefly highlight that what is the need of these modern deep learning architectures and what are the importances of it. If you see the history of the evolution of the computer science, it was actually mainly started in late 50s. Okay, and then concept of the neural network, which was mathematically came up in 1940s. But in general, what happens that since post 60s, gradually people believe that in office work purpose, it can be utilized. Okay, so in those days, it was basically the mainframe computers. Those were the bulky computers, and if there was the concept of sharing the computers. Okay, there was not a concept like the computer for each people. Rather, people used to share for their official works. And in India, mainly the computer science program started in the curriculum by IIT Kanpur in 1963, and gradually in the offices, if you see, for example, from 1970s in India, large extent in offices gradually started to explore computer in their for the storing the data purpose. So from that era, people started to gradually believe that we can maintain the record using the computers rather going with pen and papers. So they used to store data there, and basically then the concept was mainly mostly for the relational databases. Okay, people used to deal with the structured data. So after gradually we came up in the 80s era where we started with object-oriented programming, and we came up with the concepts like Java and all those things. And followed by 90s, that was the main contribution was that the open source era. In open source era, for example, due to the blessings of the Linux Foundation and GNU Free Project, we got the computer programming languages like R, Weka. Those are the huge amount of where you can utilize the online resources. Okay, the open source benefit there is that not only it is freely available, but you can utilize them for the analysis purpose quite effectively with the toolboxes available there, and with that, people across the globe can contribute there. Python is also another blessings of the open source era. So all the platforms nowadays we see, for example, the deep learning purpose, for example, Keras, TensorFlow, PyTorch, everything is a highly Pythonic platform. When you see the Colab platform we are using, any Pythonic platform can be supported in using this Colab. So this is how the computer science has evolved. And the main thing which nowadays we are dealing with, the unstructured data, which actually came up when in 1994 the World Wide Web came up. Then what happened that people started to gradually using the email activities, okay, doing Google search. From 2004 onwards, when the social media came up into, for example, Facebook and LinkedIn, which is a professional network. So what we started, we used to post in LinkedIn or Facebook, for example, you were writing something, you were posting images, you were posting videos. So that is the unstructured part. So whenever you are logged in and logged out and your activity time, that portion is stored as a structured part. But whenever you are posting images, posting videos or writing something, that is the unstructured part. So in a combination of that, we are basically forming the semi-structured data, structured and unstructured. In a combination of that is semi-structured data. So our current world is all about the semi-structured data. And the present scenario, what is happening, that our digital world is getting double day by day, because nowadays we are all surrounded by the sensors and we are capturing the real-time data, and we are trying to extract out the prominent features from the data, and we are trying to classify them. Now, as the digital world is getting day by day double, is exponential growth we can experience. So nowadays it is quite evident that we can get the data in order of 10 to the power 5. When the machine learning era initially started, then what happened that we don't used to have that type of the large data sets. Okay, and the images, whatever we have, so the very low resolution images, and there are a lot of restrictions are there. For example, one is the low resolution of images. Second one is the storage capacity. Third one is obviously the processor power, limited processor power. So the concept of the deep learning is not new. It was, mathematically, it was first came up in 1980s, and the Ian LeCun team, they came up with LeNet, okay, which we'll discuss very soon, in 1988. But the LeNet has a lot of limitations because they have used the activation function like sigmoid function, and you know that sigmoid function nowadays we often use in case of the machine learning, sigmoid tan hyperbole, but they are not the continuous scalable. If you see the curve of the sigmoid or tan hyperbole, it was not the performance was scalable. After a certain time, it is saturated. What happens that machine learning performances are good for data in order of 10 to the power 4. But if you are going towards gradually towards 10 to the power 5, data in order of 10 to the power 5, the performance gets saturated. So you require something called the continuous scalable activation function. So what happened that when the ImageNet competition concept came up, okay, where actually one of the facilitator of the ImageNet concept was the FAB, who is the prominent scientist from Stanford University and also worked for Google. So she basically put emphasis on the storage capacity and why not to make a database of the largely high resolution images, 1,000 images with 1,000 features. So in those cases, if we can go with something called the modified structure over Lennett, we can have the elegant modern deep learning architecture structures, which can give you the highly classification accuracy. So due to the blessings of that, from 2010 onwards, whatever the image-based computation we are getting, the modern deep learning architectures, they are mostly either the winner or the runner of that competitions. So for example, AlexNet, VGGNet, okay, ResNet, all these are the blessings of that. Okay, now the thing is that we have to take care of few things in our mind. So whenever, if you are early stage machine learning learner or you want to explore deep learning domain, first of all, always remember that the basics are always important. Put emphasis on learning about linear algebra. Put emphasis on, among the linear algebra especially, and try to understand what is the concept of the vector matrix, eigenvalue calculation, eigenvector calculation. Those are very, very important. For example, if you want to learn singular value decomposition, principal component analysis, there you can see a lot of concepts of the eigenvalue, eigenvectors are there. So try to go through them, first of all. Secondly, the basics of the statistics and probability. Probability, especially the concept of the Bayes theorem, because you see hidden Markov model, name Bayes, all these are based on this type of the Bayes theorem. So machine learning part, try to first of all have a strong grip on the machine learning part, then gradually understand that what are the limitations of the machine learning part, and then you go to deep learning. Okay, so linear algebra, statistics, probability, along with that, be very strong enough in data structure. Okay, data structure algorithm. Data structure, try to understand what are the best cases, okay, of sorting, what are the worst cases of sorting, what are the average cases of sorting, what are the concept of the time complexity. That plays a very, very important role. That, for example, if I am talking about that I am dealing with n by n images, okay, and if there is an n by n image, okay, if I want to go row wise or column wise scanning, so what will happen? What will be the time complexity? It will be order of n square. Now, if I unfold the image in horizontal direction or vertical direction, that we call vectorization. That concept was laterally used in case of the deep learning, the large extent. In the last stage of the deep learning, we call them a flattening. Okay, deep learning architecture, especially in convolutional neural network, we call them flattening. So that concept came up much earlier from the nonlinear dynamics, when people used to unfold the images while analysis purpose. So unfolding the image will give you the reduction in the time complexity. So from order of n square, you will get order of n. So that type of concept only you can understand if you have this strong grip in data structure. So linear algebra, statistics, probability, data structure, these are the important part which you should learn. And those who want to build career in machine learning for the industrial aspect as well as to shine in academics, definitely it is always better if you know Python, because Python has a lot of versatile application. But to talk about data science domain, if you see, for example, a lot of applications, for example, the frameworks, whether it is TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, LXNet, everything is highly based on Python, because this is a Pythonic framework. For example, nowadays in Google Colab, whatever we explore, that is based on Python. So it is always good to have a good knowledge in Python. If you know R, that is also fine. R has a very strong support in statistical analysis purpose. So I hope all of you are noting it down. So these are the basic criteria. If you follow them, it will be good enough for you to explore in this field. I repeat, linear algebra, statistics, probability, okay, data structure, and at least one of the languages like Python or R, okay. And visualization purpose, those who are planning to, to go in industry, in some cases, it will be better if you know any of the Tableau or Power BI. That is also very good, because if you know in India, if you have the good knowledge in Tableau, you can grab the 6-digit salary jobs. So these are the aspects of your industrial aspects which you should know, and how you can explore your career in this direction. So going back to our topic, like I told you that how the computer science evolved in our Indian scenario, and why do you require the deep learning? What are the current shortcomings of the machine learning? And now I just want to highlight a few areas. First of all, like I was mentioning, one is the storage capacity. Why deep learning was not possible even in 1980s, when the mathematical framework has come up, and even Ian LeCun came up with the Lennett, but still it was not getting so much success. First of all, the storage capacity. You can't store large images there. Second one is obviously your the low resolution of the images, and third one is the processing power. Okay, in those era, in the late 80s, even 90s, support vector machine used to dominate those era, and Pappy, who is the godfather of support vector machine, was huge popular. Now people we used to call, for example, Ian LeCun, Geoffrey Hinton. Okay, so those people as the godfather of deep learning, right? In those era, people, for example, used to worship Vapnik, who has a huge popularity in terms of the machine learning. Support vector machine used to deal with 10 to the 4 images in order of 10 to the 4 is quite elegantly. And apart from that, there were the bagging boosting, those methods were there where you used to club up the weak classifiers to get the proper result. So anyway, going back to today's discussion, what happened that 2012, when first NVIDIA came up with GPU, in 2016, when Google came up with TPU, we get the accessibility of the higher processing power, okay? And then the data in order of 10 to the 5 onwards become easier to process with deep learning. So semiconductor progress in the semiconductor industry plays a very, very important role in the progression of deep learning, much more faster and robust. So once LeNet was suppressed by the AlexNet in 2012 and followed by a lot of modern deep learning architecture took place in the picture. For example, ResNet, GoogleNet, VGGNet, and they have their own efficacies and limitations. Okay, so we will explore AlexNet, for example, here. So don't bother about the theoretical part. Whatever I have said here, those part you will find from the theoretical portion written there. Okay, so I will email the notebook to the organizers, so nothing to worry about it. As of now, just try to follow my instructions and reproduce the result in your Colab. Okay. So after the basic introduction, what I am doing, I am just sliding it down. Okay. So in basically we will go to the part of the learning representations. Okay. So AlexNet paper was written by Alex Krzyzewski and Geoff Hinton. Okay, so Hinton is one of the godfather of the deep learning, you already know. So basically, the name from the Alex Krzyzewski, the architecture name has been given as the AlexNet. Okay, so what happens that in the lowest layer of the network, we have the very basic preliminary low-level features are there. We know in the architecture structure, if you see this type of structure, image filter learned by the first layer of the AlexNet, the more you will go to the higher layer, what will happen? The more complex structure you will have. For example, eyes, noses, blades of grass, and so on. And even if you go to higher layer, what will happen? You can have the whole objects. For example, like the airplanes, dogs, people. So the more you will go to the higher layer of the architecture, the more you can have the prominent features. So basically, what was the limitations? I already highlighted that missing ingredient before 2012 era. One is the storage capacity, and the one is the low resolution images, which has been overcome by the Fei-Fei Li. So she actually started this type of the ImageNet competitions where thousands images with thousands features are there. So basically high resolution images. So you can easily extract the prominent features for them. And like I highlighted the importances of the GPUs related to the hardware, which was the missing ingredient earlier. So GPUs and TPUs developed by NVIDIA and Google respectively. So these were the portions already I have covered up. So now we will see basically the AlexNet architecture. Okay. So AlexNet architecture, which actually won the ImageNet competition in 2012, it was an 8-layer convolutional neural network. Okay. So in the 8-layer convolutional neural network, if you see, for example, it has a huge contribution in terms of the computer vision domain or image processing domain. It has created a large revolution. So, for example, if you see the general structure of the AlexNet layer, here you see in the left side, you can see this is the LeNet structure. In the LeNet structure, what you can see, which was developed in late 80s, in 1988. So, image dimension was 28 by 28, where there was the 2 convolutional layer 5 by 5 followed by the 2 average pooling layer which tried 2 by 2, and then finally you are getting the outcome with the help of the fully connected layer. And why it is written 10 there? Because you are basically identifying the digital digits. So 0 to 9. So that's the reason you will get the outcome as 10. Okay. Here you see, if you see, for example, the image, your AlexNet structure overall. Okay, in AlexNet structure, what you are doing, we are basically, remember that in LeNet, LeCun used sigmoid function. Okay, but in AlexNet structure, it was developed with the help of the activation function is ReLU. Okay, like I was mentioning a few minutes back, that ReLU has the continuous scalability. Okay, so if you are developing something, if you have seen the structure of the ReLU, it is a ramp-like function. Okay, so whenever if you are dealing with the deep learning, is basically that develop on the philosophy of the superhuman activity. For example, machine learning, when the concept of the machine learning was came up, it was only about the mimicking the human activity. Okay, so the way we used to think, the way our brain neuron performs, it was actually mimicking it. So for example, you could tell a human to work for 24 hours continuously. It is not possible for a human to work 24 hours continuously. What will happen after 12 hours, 14 hours, and after 16 hours? The performance will be saturated. So your graph will look like sigmoid function. But if you want to going for the superhuman activity, where there is a continuous scalability is there, like concepts like robot or some other things, some other superhuman things. So here your activation function should be ReLU-like function. Right? That means it's a ramp-like function where your scalability is continuous. Okay, so that's the reason there was this is the basic philosophy to come up with the ReLU as an activation function with this type of the modern deep learning architectures. Okay, so in the architecture, like I was discussing, for example, if we talk about the AlexNet architecture, so convolution window is all about 11 by 11. Okay, and here we are basically dealing with the immunized images. Okay, because you see the most of the images are have been sorry, just a second. So what will happen that the convolutional window is in the second layer, where you can see has been reduced to 5 by 5. Okay, if you go back to that, this particular structure, in the first layer it was the 11 by 11, and the second layer, if you see, for example, the convolutional window is reducing to 5 by 5 and then followed by 3 by 3. Okay, so this is how we are using, for example, where we are following the pooling layer with 3 by 3 window shape with stripe 2. Okay, so AlexNet will have the 10 times huge fully connected layer to produce the more model parameters of nearly 1 GB. So due to the limited memory of the earlier GPUs, what happened that they used 2 parallel GPUs. If you see the original AlexNet structure, when it was developed, then a lot of limitations was there because GPU development was in preliminary stage. So they used 2 GPUs in parallel. But in our case, we will use because you see we are using the virtual GPU due to Google Colab. So you don't have to do any type of simplification like that. So we will simply follow the simplest deep learning architecture of the AlexNet. Okay, so the activation function already I highlighted that we are going with the ReLU. Okay, so let's see the coding part. So first of all, what will we do? We will install few of the modules. So MXNet, one of the deep learning frameworks. Then we will install D2L. So it will make all the version independent stuffs. It will help you to run all the version independent stuffs. Then from MXNet, we will go for the importing NP and NPX. Okay, NumPy and the NumPy independent versions. Okay, and then for example, mx.gluon, from that importing NN neural network, and then from D2L we'll import MXNet as D2L. Then we'll go for the NPX setup. So what I am doing, before explaining the whole coding part to you, I am just putting it in your comment box. Then I will install the, and then I will explain the whole part. Okay, for the discussion purpose. Just a second. Let me put it in the comment box section. So if you follow that, some portion of the code has been given in the comment box section, and I am posting the rest of the part in the comment box section. So for a second, just a second, let me stop share the screen. Just a second. So let me check what is the to email and then now you check. Okay, I have posted the full code in your comment box section. Okay, just let me share the screen again. Just look at the screen and adjust your code. Okay, I mean everything has been posted there. Just make sure that there should not be any extra spaces. Okay, because you see in Python or Pythonic framework, it is indentation error is a very common type of error. Okay, so what happens that in other programming languages, what we used to do, we used to put some spaces to make the score much more stylish and those things. But in case of Python, you can't put any unnecessary spaces. So indentation error may take place. So make sure that you are putting the proper spaces. But one of the benefits of the Google Colab is that it is auto-indicating those spaces. Okay. So what you do, first install MXNet, then install D2L, like I have highlighted. Follow the step up to npx.setup. Okay, and then assign nn equals to nn.sequential. Okay, so what we're doing, we will now capture the larger window 11 by 11. Okay, so what will happen that then followed by we will use the activation function of ReLU, and the stride will be given 4. Okay, so what will happen that here the number of the output channel you can see that which is much larger than the LENET. If you see the LENET architecture, your output of the channel is much larger than the LENET. Okay, what I showed you earlier. This is the LENET architecture. Okay, so always remember that from Alex, model deep learning architecture evolution started. So people started relying on deep learning. Okay, so then what happened that then the convolution window becomes much more smaller, and if we set the padding equals to 2, okay, for the consistent height and width across the input and output, so what will happen that it will increase the number of the output channels. So you see, after doing the convolutional layer, implementing the convolutional layer, we are putting the max pool layer. Okay, so in case of the max pool layer, here you see the pool size is 3 by 3 with stride equals to 2. Okay, then followed by again we are giving the nn.con2d. Okay, there you are basically what we are doing, we are capturing 5 by 5 convolutional window with padding 2, and obviously the activation function is ReLU, unlike the your LENET of activation function like sigmoid. So here we are using ReLU, and then in the max pool 2D we are again capturing the 3 by 3. Okay, so scaling it down. Okay, so up to 3 by 3. So with step 2, in this way, basically what we are doing, we are gradually proceeding towards the smaller window. So first window is quite large, 11 by 11, and then followed by we have one 5 by 5, and then we are approaching towards the much smaller window of size 3 by 3. So in last 3 convolutional layer, if you see, we have the kernel size 3 for capturing the 3 by 3 convolutional window with padding 1 and activation function value. Okay, and finally, obviously, we are going for the fully connected layer, which is larger than the LeNet, obviously. So in the fully connected layer, we are keeping the dense layer. To avoid the overfitting, we are keeping dropout value 0.5 in order to avoid the overfitting. Okay, and then finally, you see the output layer is all about the MNIST layer, where the class is 10 instead of 1000, because you see, we do not have the much time to wait for the execution. So for the quicker, faster purpose of the execution, we are going with the fashion MNIST. So your output will be 10. In the original AlexNet paper, they were checking the output for the 1000 categories. Okay, here we are checking for the 10 categories. Okay, so if you click on this button in your left side, it's a run cell button. It will run and it will give you the following output. This type of output you will get. It will first of all, it will show the downloading MXNet. Okay, all the requirements are satisfied. Okay, and then you will see this type of all the Jupyter Notebook version has been satisfied, and all those things you will be able to see from here. Okay, I'm just scrolling it down a bit. You can check that at the end it will see that the installing collected packages D2L and successfully installed D2L. Okay, so that means your deep learning framework has been properly installed, and which is the version independent. Okay, irrespective of the whatever the current version you are using. Okay, so you will not face any kind of difficulty in terms of the whatever the version you are using currently. That is the reason it is version independent. So this type of the installation process you have to follow. So if you are done with this particular process, just write in comment box section that it is running. Is this portion of the code is running in your Colab? Please, 1 or 2 participants kindly voluntarily let me know, because you know this is a remotely where we are doing the hands-on session, so your cooperation is highly required. So, like I told you, that do not put any unnecessary spaces. Also, check the small capital mistakes related to the small capital letters, because you see Python is a case-sensitive language, right? So make sure that you have copy-pasted it correctly in your machine and you have aligned it properly. That's the reason I am sharing the screen of the coding portion, okay? Such that you should not make any mistake. Very simple thing. You have to just put the layers properly. Okay, there are 5 convolutional layer and 3 max pooling layer. Okay, make sure that you have synchronously divided it properly. So in first layer, 11 by 11 convolutional window with stride 4 activation value. Second convolutional layer, 5 cross 5 with activation value, and last 3 convolutional layer, it is 3 by 3 convolutional windows. Okay, and your max pooling layer, what we have observed that we have used in first case 3 by 3, second case 3 by 3 with stride 2, and also in the third case with 3 by 3 with stride 2. So 3 max pooling layer with 3 by 3 window is there. So that make sure that you have aligned it properly, and then followed by, you see, just we are putting the fully connected layer with dropout 0.5 factor, okay, in order to avoid any kind of overfitting. So, yes,
so sorry to disturb you. The code is not shared in the chat window, sir.
Just a few minutes back I shared.
Yes.
Can't you see it? So make sure that whether the chat window is only available for these speakers, or it is also can be visible for the participant. I guess if you change the setup, it can be possible. Is it only made available for?
No, from the chat, yes, you can send it to everyone.
Yes, I just posted in the chat, so it should be visible for all. Just a second, let me check.
No, right?
Okay, so you can see the code is there, already there.
I think participant cannot view the message.
Exactly, that is what I was saying.
Yeah, that option has to be revoked, yeah.
Okay, so I have now made it for everyone. Now I am posting it again. I hope now
Yes.
the participants will be see it again. I mean, all of you can see it. Just let me know if you are getting to see it. Earlier, the setup was only for the organizers. Can you see it now?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
some portion of the code has gone. Let me send the rest of the code. Just a second. So I sent you the full code. Okay. Kindly let me know whether you are able to run it or not. Let me share the screen again. Just look at the screen. Okay, how the code has been aligned. Just check. Such for to avoid the any kind of unnecessary spacing or all those things. As I was saying that in Python, avoid the indentation error. And the good thing is that it has the auto indicator that from where you have to start. You have to give the space. So that type of auto indicator is there. So that is the good thing, benefit of that.
Excuse me, sir. The last line. Excuse me, sir. The last line of the code is reduce the height A.
Yes.
Am I right, sir? The last
Yes,
line
yes,
of the.
Then I again send you this part. I have sent again. So the hashtag sign with something written is that is the comment part. You can skip it because the comment part has been given.
We didn't get that, sir.
Make sure that I again send it. It has ended nn dense 10. You see nn dot dense 10. The last line is nn dot dense 10.
Yeah, okay. Those lines we are not received.
The code has been set in two parts.
No, sir, we didn't get that, sir. We didn't get it.
The second one we didn't receive, sir. We didn't get it.
Just let me check again. I have sent it there. Just a second.
Character limit, yes, you're right.
Okay. So how much can you see?
We can see up to ITA, sir. Reduce the ITA.
Reduce the height A, that command statement.
Okay, so second part you have not seen it. Okay, let me send it again. Just a second. Actually, I sent the full version. I know there is a character limitation is there, but I sent the whole version actually in two parts. That's the reason. So I believe now can you see everyone that nn.dense10? Can everyone see now?
Yes.
nn. Okay. So two parts there. One part is ending at to reduce height A, but that is under the hashtag, so you don't have to bother it. You start from the second part. After you paste it in the first part, you start from the second part, the convolutional layer, nn.con2d. Okay, it is ending where nn.dense10. We are getting the output of the 10 categories. Okay, because we are going with the fashion MNIST data set. So 10 categories will be the possible outcome. So then align the code properly. Now the next task will be that to align the code properly. Okay, just a second. Let me share the screen and just check it and align the code properly. Just look at this screen, make sure to avoid any kind of indentation error. let me know by commenting in the comment box that whether you are being able to run it or not. Then we shall go to the next portion.
Yes, sir.
Is it running? Okay, so thank you, Charlie, for confirming. If I get the confirmation for one more speaker, or sorry, one more participants or two more participants, then we can go to the next portion. And nothing to worry about it. I will share the notebook. This is just for the practice purpose for all of you to understand the concept. Okay. So this portion of the code has run for Charlie. If anybody else has run it, kindly confirm me by commenting in the comment box. Anyone else who has been able to complete it?
Students, please confirm anyone wrote the code. It was working in the systems. You can check and in the lab.
Okay, just write in the comment box. Already Charlie has confirmed. If anybody else has already done it, kindly just let me know. I'm expecting one or two more confirmations, then we can go to the next part. Okay, somebody has told me to reshare the code again. So again, I am resharing it. So it will go in two parts due to the character limit. Okay. So make sure that you are merging it properly. So this is the first portion. I am sending the second portion again. Just make sure that you have merged it properly. Look at the screen and merge the coding portion properly. Okay, so I think all of you can see the whole code now. Again, I have sent it into parts due to the character limit. So I believe that it should be visible to all of you. In case of any difficulty, let me know. So I'm going back to sharing the screen. Just look at this screen and okay, so somebody else has confirmed, yes, or something like that, right? Okay, so I think I should move the question, okay?
Yes,
because we have the time. So just I'm moving the next portion. Okay. So I believe that if you can align it properly, it will run. Okay. So basically, now our target will be to all about to construct the data example for the both height and width of the 222 to observe the output shape of each layer. Okay, because it should match the architecture given in figure 2. Because we have already seen the architecture has been given here, the architecture figure. Okay, first one in the left side it was there was the LeNet, and right side it was all about the AlexNet. Okay, now to match it, what we are doing, we are giving, just a second, we are putting the balancing the height and width of the figure 224 by 224. Okay, so this is how we are printing it. For example, print layer.name output shape, then we are putting step, that means there will be space, and then x.shape. So your shape will come up after that. So here you see ConNet output shape. Then what it is coming up, okay? That it will come up with 54 by 54, 26 by 22, 26. In this way, it will come up, okay? With the output number and number of the outputs and with the dimensions of the layer, okay? So I am just what I am doing. I am just posting this chunk of the code in your comment box section such that you can run it easily. And can you see now?
Yes, sir.
All of you can see that?
Yes, sir.
So
okay,
the
so
students
layer
are,
wise.
Yes, so sorry to interrupt you.
No,
the students, students are not able to copy it from the chat window. There is some settings problem. So you can just explain the code later on. If you share the code, we can communicate with the students. They will be executing.
Sure.
Because the
then
time
what
is
I'm
also
doing, exactly. So you can see that those who are being able to copy, that's fine. Those who are not being able to copy, I am explaining it, so nothing to worry about it. So here you can see the output wise, because we see that we have talked about the five convolutional layer, right? So conv0, conv1, conv2, conv3, and conv4. So we are checking what are the shapes after giving the input 220 by 224 by 224. We are checking what are the possible outcome of each layer. Then what we are doing, we know there are three pooling layers are there: pool 0, pool 1, and pool 2. Okay, so pooling layer, what is doing? It is doing the downsampling by 3 by 3 because the pooling layer window is 3 by 3 with stride 2. And the convolutional layer window, in the first case, it was 11 by 11. In the second case, it was 5 by 5. And the last three convolutional layer cases, it was 3 by 3. Okay. So after doing that, what we have done, we have then just checked out what are the possible outcomes of each layer. Okay. Then in the final step, it was the fully connected layer. Fully connected layer where we have done the dropout operations of the 0.5. So there were two dropout operations. If you see the code earlier, okay, there were two dropout operations was there, okay, to avoid the overfitting. Okay, so dropout where we have kept the value 0.5, 0.5. Then we have got the classes output 10, nn depth 10. Okay, so nn dot depth, due to nn dot depth 10, you see you are getting the output for the classes 10. Okay. Meanwhile, if somebody is able to run the code, you may confirm in case if you have been able to copy it, or you can write it. Okay. Or I can, meanwhile, I can do one thing just to boost up your confidence that it is working. I can also copy paste it in the notebook. Okay. So just a second. What I am doing, I am putting the whole code in the practice notebook. Okay. And I am running, I'm not tampering anything with the original notebook which I have prepared, because in case sometimes what happens that due to unstable internet connection, it will start the execution from again, and it may not be able to process the whole thing within the given time. So in those cases, I will not be able to give you the full demonstration. So that's the reason I am just putting it there and copy pasting it in this particular practice window box. Okay. So what will happen that you can parallelly see the code which I will explain, and you can see the execution there from the screen that well it is working. Okay, so that's the reason you can see the screen of the DL practice Python notebook, and you can see the execution details here. So you see the execution is happening. Okay, so all the necessary modules under DL, okay, MXNet, it is installed. You see the successfully installed DL 0.17.0 version. Okay, so it has installed all the deep learning supported necessary frameworks, okay, which is quite version independent also. Now you see, when I'm going to the next part, where we want to see the outcome of each layer. If we are taking the input images by size 224 by 224, what will be the each layer outcome? That we want to try out. Okay. So I am again, what I'm doing, I want to run that portion. So what I'm doing, I am just clicking on the plus code button, and I am just pasting the code here. Okay. And then I am running it. Okay. You see, each layer wise, the outcome has come up. There was 5 convolutional layer, 3 pooling layers. So conv0 to conv4 output is there. 3 pooling layer, pool 0 to pool 2 output is there. And you see the dense layer was 3 dense layer was there. So dense 0, dense 1, and dense 2. Each outcome is visible with the drop 2 dropout layers, drop 0 and drop 1. Each layer outcome is clearly visible as per the architecture wise. Okay. And now what I am doing, I'm going to the next part. So reading the data set. Now the reading the data set, what I am doing here, basically you see the AlexNet on the ImageNet paper. Basically we are using the Hasson MNIST. That's because I was telling you that the reason is basically is that although the original paper has the 1,000 categories, but here if we want to going for the exploring with the 1,000 categories, that will be difficult because it will take much more time to run. So first of all, we are putting the immunized data set with, which is basically the size of 28 by 28. Then what we are doing, we are resizing it by upsampling it for the 224 by 224. Okay, because to match with the original AlexNet architecture. Okay, so resizing is important. So here what we have done, we have kept the base size 128 with original data set, which was basically the AlexNet data. In case of the AlexNet architecture, it was Hasson MNIST of 28 by 28. We are upscaling it to 224 by 224. Okay, so you see the upscaling is done. So you see, so Hasson MNIST images have been downloaded and with the upscale version. Okay, it is now 224 by 224. It has been upscaled from the original image size 28 by 28 to 224 by 224. Okay, to match the AlexNet architecture. Now we will do the training. Now let me tell you that this training portion will take a lot of time. It depends upon your internet speed and all those things. It may take up 8 to 10 hours. So what I am doing, I am just putting it, but it will not give you the graph just now. It will take much more time to give the graph, this type of the graph. I am just pasting it here, but I will explain. But this is where we are putting the landing rate value is 0.01. And the epoch we have given 10. Okay, so it will learn and it will execute it, and you will get this type of the outcome where you can see with the over the period of epoch, when you increase the number of the epoch, your trailing loss will be reduced and your training accuracy and test accuracy will increase. So you see this particular sky, a little bit of sky colored line. If you look at that sky colored marker, okay, which is indicating the training loss, it is reducing when you are executing increasing the number of the epochs. Okay, and you see your training accuracy with the pink color and the green color is indicating testing accuracy is increasing. Okay, that should happen whenever you are going for the much more iteration of the execution of any kind of the neural network framework. What will happen that your basically the loss will decrease over the period of time, and your training accuracy and the testing accuracy will increase. That type of outcome you will be able to see. Okay, but it will take a lot of time. It may take minimum 7 to 8 hours to run this particular portion. Okay, so you will not be able to see the outcome now. You see, this is still running. Okay, so rest of the portion will run within twinkle of an eye, but this particular portion will take a lot of time to run. So at the execution, once the execution is ends, you will be able to see that the training accuracy is 87.9% and the testing accuracy is all about 88.6%. That is quite satisfactory. Okay, so this is how the AlexNet architecture, which is one of the modern deep learning architectures, can run. There are some summaries are there for the understanding purpose of the student. So AlexNet has the similar type of structure of the LeNet, but although it is quite more versatile because you see it is dealing with the large scale image data sets, okay, where you are dealing with the high resolution images and you are getting support of the fast performing GPU. So today, AlexNet has been surpassed by a lot of new deep learning architectures, undoubtedly. And although you see that there are, like I was mentioning, that the new architectures are coming up and will come up in much more in upcoming days. So it will definitely overcome the performance of the AlexNet as well. So if I get some chances and opportunity to give talk in upcoming seminars in your esteemed college, I will definitely will talk about much more advanced deep learning, modern deep learning architectures. So today we have completed the discussion on AlexNet. Now I think the time is also over. So over to you, madam. I will definitely email the notebook to all the participants such that they can read it and they can utilize all the materials given there. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you for a very interesting session, sir. The floor is open to questions now. They can either talk it out or drop their questions or queries in the chat box. Since there are no questions coming up for now, I quote now that it is important to follow our dreams and heart and do something that excites you. From the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, I request Dr. Kumar R. Sir to tell a few words. Over to you, sir.
Okay, I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening to all. On behalf of everyone present here, I extend my sincere appreciation to the speaker of the day, Sri Sabyasachi, for his wonderful session on deep learning, and also the practical session by executing a code using AlexNet, a deep learning tool. Really, it was wonderful, sir. We are able to, though we are not, everyone was not able to execute the code, maybe by tomorrow we'll try it and we'll update you what is the result of that code execution. So really, it was interesting. Yeah. So in short duration, within 1 hour, you are able to tell so much information. It shows your knowledge in this deep learning. Really, we are very much overwhelmed with the way you taught and how fast and how quickly we are able to convey the information to us. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of everyone, we express my sincere appreciation to you. Okay, and special appreciation to the young and dynamic, what you can say, the student coordinator or Shirley Gracia, as well as Anustri for the great involvement. So for information, this entire program was coordinated by Shirley and the partner with the support of Ranjita ma'am. On behalf of everyone, I appreciate, give a big round of applause to the student coordinator, student counselor Shirley Gracia, with his energetic, and she was the person who contacted you and made us. Normally, the faculty members will do the process, but since it is a student thing, she has done a great job and herself contacted you and got asked an eminent person for us. So I appreciate Shirley for this wonderful work. And also all the faculty members, including Ranjita ma'am and the faculty members of computer science, and special thanks to Sevar Pandian sir and the great support by Father Lijo, who has come for inaugurating this webinar. Without their support, it will not be a success. Okay, so I appreciate all for your work to begin the success of this webinar. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, I request Ms. Shirley Gracia, ACFW Chair, to convey the vote of thanks.
Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude. Gratitude is the completion of thankfulness. Thankfulness may consist merely of words. Gratitude is shown in acts. I, on behalf of the management of Krishna Jayanti College PG and ACMW student branch would like to propose the vote of. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's occasion a resounding success. Next, I thank our resource person, Sri Sabyasachi Mukhyopat, Google developer expert in machine learning, despite his busy schedule, found time to give us knowledge and interacting with us. Thank you, sir.
I just want to say one thing, that thank you very much for the invitation, and it was all about your cooperation to complete this hands-on session successfully, because you know that doing things remotely is not that very easy. So it requires the active participation from the participants, and thank you very much for your enthusiasm. You guys are doing great job, and it is good to see that with the good, very well coordinated by the faculties also. So always stay in touch with your teachers, and also if you require any help from me as well, just feel free to reach out to me. I have given my email ID also there, and my YouTube channel link has been given there. You can subscribe it. You can check out that there are a few hands-on sessions as example of the few hands-on sessions are there. You can try to replicate it, learn it, and if you require those notebooks from me, you can feel free to email me anytime. And also I am requesting also your esteemed faculties as well. If you require any time, if you require me or any help from me, or if you require any session to conduct, you can contact me. So I'd be very glad to be present here, and we'll try to explore my skill at large extent. Okay. So thank you very much again. Thanks a lot. It's been my pleasure to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I thank Reverend Father Lijoki Thomas, Financial Administrator, for guidance and moral support. Thank you, Father. I thank Dr. Kumar R., HOD, Department of Computer Science, PG, for inspiring us in all our endeavors. Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Sevuga Pandian, HOD, Department of Computer Science, UG, for supporting us in all our endeavors. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Veer Murugan and Dr. Murganathan, sir, for enthusiastic support. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Ranjita M., faculty sponsor of ACMW Student Chapter, for coordinating and organizing this beautiful workshop. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank all our faculty members of Department of Computer Science for their guidance, support, vision, and commitment. Thank you, teachers. I thank the tech for hosting and designing the course. Thank you, team. I thank Bhavna for the wonderful MC. Thank you, Bhavna. Last but not the least, I thank all my fellow Giantins for the presence throughout the event. Finally, I leave you by this inspiring quote by Martin Luther King. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. Once again, I thank you and I remain.
Thank you, Shirley. I request everyone to turn on the videos for some quick snapshots.
So over, Bhavana?
Yes, 1 minute. Yes, sir. Okay, done. Thank you. Once again, thank you all for being with us. I remain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Admin, you can end the meeting.